Ring Kings boxing, we up in this thing. I'm Big Q chiming in on this episode of Ring Kings wrap up. This past weekend had a lot of stellar boxing going down, and it is Terrance Crawford was able to beat Avacyn, his adversary, knocked him out, man, just in brutal fashion. Looked like he the guy was getting medical attention. Crawford set him up with some good shots there, man. Came with the hook, then came across with that. Man, listen, man. Crawford did him dirty, man. A lot of people thought that Avacyn wasn't going to be a strong candidate for Terrance Crawford, but nonetheless, he just wanted to fight, man, and stay sharp, and he was able to take care of business and just keep holding on to the belt, and he was able to dispatch him. He improved to 39-0 with 30 knockouts against Avacyn, who had 29 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw with 17 knockouts. So you don't take nobody for granted, no matter who you're fighting. But Terrance Crawford kind of through the matchup, kind of felt the guy out, and then pretty much set him up, and then just dropped him, man. And it looked really bad, man. The way how Bud took him on up out of there, man. But the thing about it was, a lot of people was kind of upset about how Bud won the fight in terms of who he fighted, not Errol Spence. People wanted to see him get Errol Spence there. As you can see, the knockout on Avacyn right there as he plays his guitar running around. But you look at that hook, and then he comes up under that and gets him with that boom, sets him up with that hook, that uppercut, then comes across with that hook. And look, Avacyn right there needed medical attention. Yeah, he was on the ground. That ball was on the ground, laid the hell out, man. And Crawford put him up under there, and dropped him. That boy, basically a butterfly. Look how he laid out there, man, breathing heavy and hard. He needed all kind of medical attention. But Crawford got out of there with the win, man, and that was a good one for Crawford. Good to see him get back into the ring, and that's what he wanted to do. He didn't want to spend a long time not fighting, so he got in there, dispatched Avacyn, and now he moves on to what potentially could be what we're looking for in the welterweight division, which is unification. Now, Bud Crawford made a point to let people know that he's going to be fixated back on Errol Spence, trying to get that deal done. And of course, Eddie Hearn was quoted as saying that a fight between Terrance Crawford and Errol Spence would not happen unless he signed with PBC. So he calls himself a free agent right now, even though he just signed that $10 million deal. I don't know how many for one fight, I think it was. Y'all correct me in the chat on that. But it was intriguing, to see what Crawford was able to do. But if he can't get Errol Spence, he's talking about Charlo. And of course, Charlo says Terrance Crawford is riding off the name of PBC fighters while fighting nobodies. And then of course, Charlo did react to what Terrance Bud Crawford did say about that. And we're going to play that here. We know Charlo, Jermell Charlo, is not shy for words. He's a guy that's super uber confident, and you can hear it in him. And he has an attitude because he feels like the world doesn't give him his due, and he should be listed as one of the pound for pound guys. And a lot of the writers, and I be reading a lot of their stuff, man, they really don't like Charlo. Something about him just don't sit well with them, and they just purposefully omit him out of these pound for pound articles just to piss him off and disrespect him. So whether you like him or not, your job is to tell the truth. I don't care if you like him or not. If he's a title holder and he's handled, you got to give him his credit. So this is what he said in reference to Bud Crawford's comment.
That's my last question. Just wanted to know if shoot. Sorry, can you
think about it? Think about it, bro. I'm here.
No, sorry about that. Just wanted to know if you had any thoughts on Crawford saying, I know you guys have been going back and forth and stuff like that, but I just wanted to know if you had any thoughts on Crawford saying that, eventually when he does fight you, he'll beat you pretty easily, and probably just like your overall thoughts on him beating Avanesian via 6-round knockout.
Now, I didn't get to see his fight. I've never heard of what he's done. I never heard of his opponent. I've been really focused on what I got in front of me, and I'm not even worried. Man, everybody say they gonna beat somebody this and that. Man, I don't say. All I see is him riding off the names of the PBC fighters. Like he ain't even trying to really fight nobody for real. These people over here is a whole different ball field. You know what I'm saying? He playing in the AFL. I'm NFL, top tier. Got to all the rings. I'm Tom Brady, the black one.
So that's just Charlo. The black Tom Brady, huh? He got all the rings. He talking all the stuff. And, man, the man's a champion. You got to respect him. Mine both are. But it would be interesting to see Bud Crawford climb in weight and take on Jermell Charlo. But first, he's pretty much, he wants to take care of business in the welterweight, he being Terrance Crawford, lining up with a fight with Errol Spence. And that's the thing that needs to happen. And, of course, Eddie Hearn did say, you know, and this was put on Boxing News 24, that he says that the Spence and Crawford fight won't happen. I know y'all guys probably heard about this unless he signs with the PBC. And it's just one of those things where I don't know, man. And I'd often said, why wouldn't Terrance sign with El Heyman? El Heyman, according to many of the fight game, is a well-respected dude. He's not one of those guys that you don't see El Heyman very much. He's behind the scenes. He has a great stable of fighters. And according to guys like the Charlos and many other, he helps the fighters beyond the fight game. You see what I'm saying? And they speak the praise of El Heyman. So one of the big hindrance for this fight getting off the ground originally was El Heyman versus Top Rank or Bob Arum. So with Heyman having to deal with Terrance Crawford, and he called himself a free agent, this has to get done. And I said that because I think eventually this will get done. I think Terrance Crawford had the hiccup where he just wanted to get a fight in the back end of the year just to have one so he don't go a long time without having a fight. So his next fight with Spence would be a fight that would get him 40 wins if he won the fight. But this is one of those fights where you want to see both of these guys in on top of their games. And I just think that Spence and Crawford would bring out the best that anybody could bring out at this stage of their career. So that has to be something. And rumor mill has it that could be something they're working on for the first quarter of next year, possible the second quarter. We'll see how it all flies, man. But now that Bud got his out the way, let's see if they can connect and get it going. Of course, Eddie Hearn said it's not going to happen unless he gets with PBC. And of course, I don't know why Bud wouldn't get with PBC. He went to all these different places. I don't know what's going on with that, but I don't know. I don't know what the science behind that is. So hopefully we can get something going on right here between these two. Would love to see the fight with Errol Spence first for unification of the welterweight class. And ultimately, once that's done, and I think that'll be a multiple fight type situation. I don't think that's one fight, maybe two fights. It could be a trilogy. I've said before in previous Ring King boxing that I think that's a triple fight right there between Spence and Crawford for welterweight supremacy. So, you know, undisputed. Let's just say it like that. Not unified, because we already know Errol has unified the welterweight belts. This is for undisputed. So I would love to see an undisputed welterweight champion. It had been a long time since we've seen that happen, and I think these two fighters would give us a good trilogy matchup. So hopefully that'll get done, man. It's just hopefully it don't be one of these things that we wanted to see but never materialized, man. Hopefully that's not the case. But you know, once that happens, I think ultimately Boots, you see Boots Ennis he'll be one of the guys that'll step into that role, because these guys don't want to see Boots, man, for real. And I think once Bud and Errol have finished their trilogy, I think Bud moves on to possibly going up to Charlo, fighting him, or perhaps I don't see him staying there and taking on Boots, man. They know what time it is with Boot Ennis. So, and Errol is another way. I would love to see that happen, but I think Boots would kind of that would be a good fight, but I don't think none of them. I think a lot of their trainers like, man, we got to stay away from that kid. Keep our eyes on the prize, man, and do this. So anyway, let's move on to the next fight right here. And this is from the WBA Orders Oleksandr Usyk versus Dynamite Dubois. So The WBA has ordered the super heavyweight champion, Usyk, to face the regular champion, Dubois, to reduce the number of titles. This move could potentially get in the same of the undisputed heavyweight undisputed clash between the IBF, WBA, and WBO champion Usyk, who's 20-0 with 13 knockouts, and WBC champ Tyson Fury. With Dubois and Fury sharing the same promoters, Queensberry promotion, it'll be a simple matter of them arranging for Daniel to step aside so Tyson can face Usyk for the undisputed title. Now, Dubois would then face the winner of the Fury versus Usyk fight as long as the IBF doesn't get in the way. The International Boxing Federation has already ordered Usyk to defend against the IBF mandatory fighter there, which is Filip Hrgovic. And Hrgovic's promoter, Eddie Hearn, has repeatedly said that Usyk must defend against him next, but it's possible that the IBF will allow Fury versus Usyk to fight to go ahead. Now, we all know that, undisputed or unification leaps any mandatory challenges. That's just the cardinal rule in boxing. So with the WBA ordering Usyk and Dubois, I don't see this happening, man. We'll see how it all works, but it's so up and down between these two fighters. You see Tyson Fury having a very uneventful fight against Derek Chisora for the third time. It was just a warm-up fight. It was nothing that I wanted to see, or us in the U.S. wanted to see. Maybe the people in the U.K. wanted to see that, but we most certainly didn't want to see that type of fight. And we know Dubois just fought another dude that he was able to knock down. The guy knocked Dubois down several, in the fight, and there was a lot of criticism about Daniel Dubois's fight. A lot of really strange stuff that was happening as he was knocked on the floor against this fight, and then got back up a couple of times. I think he got knocked down several times in the fight, at least 2 times that I remember him taking a shot upside his head and going down and then getting back up to try to defend. So I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know if this carried weight with the WBA trying to order Usyk to fight Dubois. I don't think that happens. I think ultimately what everybody wants to see in the heavyweight division is Oleksandr Usyk and Tyson Fury fight for undisputed unification. So to unify the heavyweight division once again. Now, Usyk is very talented. And Tyson Fury is interesting. He said that he was bored in retirement, and he really wasn't retired. Tyson Fury got a lot of BS with him. He talks a lot. But if he was really retired, he called himself retired. He wasn't retired. He was still holding on to the belt. He only gave up the ring belt. He only gave up the ring title. The other belt, the championship belt, he kept it. He didn't relinquish the belt. And then when it was time to fight another foe, he did. So he didn't really retire or do nothing. So that's some BS. But I think it's time for the heavyweight division to get in line and get the Usyk and Tyson Fury fight out the way, man. It might be 2 fights, maybe 3. I don't know, depending on Usyk is very skilled. But at some point, man, these 2 guys have got to get together because they're holding up everything at the top of the heavyweight class. They're holding it all up. So hopefully we can get this done, because both of these guys talking retirement. Usyk is talking about retirement when he was talking. Tyson Fury was talking about retirement. Well, if you're going to retire, give up the belts, free it up so the rest of the fighters can get in there. But that's just all rhetoric. They never surrendered any titles. Tyson, like I say, he just gave up the ring belt, which really isn't anything. So at the end of the day, I don't know how this will fly. We'll just have to keep an eye on it. But them heavyweights got to get it together, man, at the top with the belts, man. We need to get this fight game moving on the heavyweight side. Also, talking about Teofimo Lopez, I seen his fight against Sandor Martin. Sandor Martin knocked him down in the fight. Teofimo didn't look crisp in the matchup, got a lot of criticism from other fighters, and rightfully so. He didn't look comfortable at 140. And of course, Sandor Martin, who fought him, said he don't have the power for 140 and he don't have the chin. So it's going to take some adjustments for Teofimo, but Teofimo did say that, he came out and says that he feels that he can compete at that level and all this kind of stuff. So it was a close decision to me. It was a shaky decision. To me, I thought Sandor Martin should have upset Teofimo Lopez. I thought he did enough to beat him in the matchup. And the judges thought not. They thought, in the split to give it to him. But I wasn't really impressed with Teofimo doing what he did, man, against the Spaniard. So I don't know. He says, and this was the thing that Martin did. Like he said, he don't have the power at 140. At 140, and the crazy thing is that Martin initially believed in order to register the gigantic upset, he would need to box, move, and avoid long and drawn out exchanges. Nevertheless, round 2, Martin, who's 40-3 with 13 knockouts, grew tired of playing Matador to Lopez's bull, so in an effort to gain his respect, he planted his feet and fired, sending a stunned Lopez to the canvas. So Martin would once again, again go up with his aggression, landed yet another powerful blow that saw Lopez reacquaint himself with the mat. However, luckily for Lopez, Gonzalez, the referee, ruled the second trip to the canvas as a slip. And that's a part of the game which I really didn't like, because that really wasn't a slip if you look at it. He got him on the ground, and then it was just terrible. It's like what we seen with the exhibition fight with Manny Pacquiao when he fought the YouTube fighter that like flipping people over and all this stuff, and then he got floored several times by Manny Pacquiao. And about this guy right here, DKU, it was foolish, but several times in this exhibition match, it was totally ridiculous. Manny dispatched this dude, boxed around him. The guy really no experience at all. He was totally outclassed. The referee kept ruling times when Manny drops him as slips when it wasn't slip, and that kind of brings me back to this fight right here. When Sandor Martin dropped Teofimo twice, Teofimo should have lost this fight. It should have been an upset, but they gave it to him, and he eked out the win. And I just didn't like how Teofimo Lopez looked in the bout. He might be biting off more than he could chew at 140. So it'll be interesting to see. And a shout out to Jared Anderson, the real big baby, man. He had a fight against Forrest and beat Forrest in 2 rounds. And boy, did he hammered on Forrest in that fight. Chopped the Forrest down is what he did. Threw so many goddamn punches. And then on top of that, Forrest hit Jared Anderson square several times in the matchup. And ultimately what it served to show you is that the real big baby is something to deal with, man. And he did a good job, man. I'm going to give it to Jared Anderson, man. And some people see him as the top prospect, up and coming prospect in the heavyweight division. And I have to give it to you. I like this kid. I like how he fights. I like his confidence, boy. And they call him a little man in the big man's body, because he doesn't fight like a heavyweight. He throws a lot of punches. He fights like a middleweight at heavyweight, and he has power, and he showed Forrest hit him with some shots and squared up. And he said only thing he remembers was he said, when he hit me, all I saw was red. And I like that type of mindset for fighters. Like, how dare you punch me? And he just convinced to just beating that lily hell out of Jerry Forrest, and dropping him. And Forrest is not he ain't no top-notch fighter, but he's good, experienced competition for a young, untested, real big baby Anderson. Now, Forrest does have 20 knockouts and 26 wins with 20 knockouts. So he does have some degree of power. And Jared just walked right through that shit, man. It was nothing. Jared Anderson walked right through that and then dispatched him in 2 rounds. The referee was trying to stop the fight after the first round because he was hitting him so many times. And I think he broke a record of some sort for a heavyweight, how many shots he was throwing, man. He threw so many power shots, it was ridiculous. And around, I'm trying to see the number because I forgot it. They say Anderson began letting his hands go at full force, nearly stopping Forrest when he had him on the ropes, and landed a total of 54 out of 114 punches thrown within the first 3 minutes of the bout. And boy, were the referees looking. And boy, I mean, he was just unloading on Forrest, man. So I was like, damn, we're gonna see what happens with this guy, man. But keep an eye out on a heavyweight guy, young prospect like Jared Anderson, from the U.S., man, in the heavyweight division with power, speed, and just be able to do it. So if y'all don't know who Jared Anderson is, the real big baby as he's called, y'all need to check this brother out. He got highlight reels on YouTube. Matter of fact, you can watch all of his knockouts, man. 13-0 with 13 knockouts. He's serious, man. So keep him on your young prospect list and keep an eye out on this kid. Well, that's going to do it for Ring Kings Boxing. I'd like to thank all you guys. Thank all of you guys for tuning in for Ring Kings Boxing. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, and share Ring Kings Boxing on your social media feed. Man, we got some great fights. As we're getting close to the end of the year, it was good to see Bud Crawford in action again. NOE is another guy that, you know, captures the undisputed bantamweight title. He did a really good job in his matchup against Paul Butler. We're looking forward to the next year seeing better competition for him as well. He did a fantastic job this year too, closing out. So, man, you know, as the year get close, it just brings up 2023 and the fact that we're looking forward to see what kind of great fights, man, that's on the horizon. Maybe Bud Crawford and Terrance, you know, Bud Crawford and Errol Spence gets it on. We know in January we got Tank Davis and Garcia going at it in January the 7th, and other really interesting fights that'll be going on. Ife Ojagba against Oscar Rivas, that'll be January the 14th. Good to see him. He's another one of those power punches that I keep my eye on Ife Ojagba. To see him, Better Biov and Yard will fight on the 28th in London. Looking out for that. How about Charlo and Tim Su? They'll fight on the 28th as well. So they got a bunch of fights that's going to happen coming up in the new year. So we're going to close out the year in style. So with that being said, that'll be the end of Ring Kings Boxing, family. I appreciate y'all chiming in. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and make Ring Kings Boxing, fam, one of your favorite boxing shows out there. We're going to holler at you at the flip side, and on to the next one. Peace, and I'm out.